How do you think that stacks up against Buddy Landell's version?
Of Moon River, the one, I've never seen the footage, so I can't tell you. Somehow, when I got the commercial tape, some joker took all the good stuff out of it. I didn't get to see any of that. The listeners may not know what we're talking about, but us tape traders know we were ripped off.
I will elaborate in a second, but to answer that, I'm pretty sure that didn't make TV or the VHS tape. But ladies and gentlemen, what it was, and in hindsight, we can laugh about these things after, let's see, it was 33 years ago. So I think we got to the laughing part about, 6 or 7 years ago. No.
Was that the first fire on the mountain?
Yes.
That's right. 92.
In Johnson City, Tennessee, Freedom Hall. And it was an I Quit match between White Lightning Tim Horner and Nature Boy Buddy Landell. And Buddy couldn't stand Horner at the time, and nobody particularly blamed him, especially in hindsight. But Buddy was also his needle was heading toward the bad Buddy side of the gauge instead of the good Buddy that came back and worked for us much longer in 95. But he couldn't stand Horner, and they were working this program, and I had plans for Buddy to do bigger things, but we needed to keep everybody busy. We had 14 guys in the territory. So, this is going to happen. So they're working a little program. It's an I Quit match just because it's a big show and blah, blah, blah. And Horner gets him I can't remember what it was. A fucking arm bar submission or a fucking some kind of abdominal stretch or whatever. And Hildebrand's the referee, I think. And he takes the microphone and puts it down in front of fucking Buddy's face. And you give, and Buddy goes, Moon River. God damn it. God damn it. And so that's when unfortunately, we had to part ways for a while. Because even then, I'd rather have kept Buddy if his head was right and got rid of Horner. Buddy was the one that was exposing the business when the company wasn't 6 months old. So he had to go after TV the following Monday.
In hindsight, that was just his way of saying, I quit.
Yeah, that may have been the first I Quit match in history where the guy actually quit the company.
That was the thing about Buddy. He was such a good heel in different roles. Like with Butch Reed, he was kind of like the goofy sidekick. And not goofy, but just I don't know how to describe it. He was troublemaker.
Well, here's the thing. He was like the fucking Eddie Haskell and Lumpy Rutherford rolled into one. He was the high school kid that hung around the guy that was really the badass because he had a big mouth, and that way the badass could back him up. But he wasn't a goddamn nerd, but he thought he was greater than he was and wanted to hang out with the cool kids type of thing in Mid-South, in that locker room atmosphere, I guess, for lack of a better term. That's kind of where he was at with Butch and everybody. And because he was still only 22 years old. So it was perfect because he was always that fucking guy. He excelled at a lot of things on his own, but he always had that big mouth and he wanted to be, See,
that's the thing. He was always a heel, but he was a heel that even if you hated heels, he would make you laugh. Now, Moon River is a bit of a step too far, but the Bill and Buddy show, the stuff in Mid-South, him and Butch Reed in the gym. I used to hear a story from Philadelphia fans.
Yeah, and by the way, that was the same thing in real life. He was a heel that would make you laugh. You could be so fucking mad at him for his goddamn various actions and faults, but at the same time, it was Buddy. It softened it so much because he always made you laugh. Or how can you just want to choke him? Really? Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, but what I was going to say is Philadelphia fans have always talked about him and J.T. Smith. And they're working, and J.T. Smith was the young guy, the local guy that worked for Goodhart and Todd Gordon. And he's working with Buddy.
It.
And the crowd got quiet enough. Buddy just yells, not even yell, Buddy just says very loudly, "Sell, you bitch!" and chops him. And that's the thing that the fans remember. They don't remember the chop or the selling. They remember, "Sell, you bitch."
Oh, and I mean, that's the thing. Buddy would come into the goddamn room, whether it be the lobby of the hotel or the fucking locker. Sometimes he'd come in the locker room dragging his bag, long trip, look like shit. But whenever on a plane, whenever he could make somewhat of an entrance, he would come in. The equivalent of Flair would always have the three-piece suit on and the sunglasses, and he'd have the belt bag in one hand and he'd be brushing his hair with the other hand. Buddy would be sometimes in flip-flops and gym shorts and a fucking tank top and have an old fucking gear bag draped over his shoulder, but he'd have the sunglasses on and he'd be brushing his hair. He would act the same way like Flair did in this $5,000 suit walking in and whatever the fuck, and have a bank bag that they started carrying before the fanny pack, and he'd tuck it under his arm. Hey, baby, I'm here. You ready to go? It just.
I got to see both sides in one day once in New Jersey. It was when it was one of the Eddie Gilbert Memorial brunches, lunches, whatever it was that Dennis did in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Was it a Holiday Inn? I forget exactly what it was. I think it was the Holiday
I think
Inn.
it was.
And Buddy, during the day, three-piece suit, or maybe not three-piece, but suit, talking about religion, has his shit together on his best behavior. Bill Watts is there. Bill Watts is putting him
I
over.
I was there.
Yeah, I filmed it. You were there too.
Yes.
And Bill Watts is putting over Buddy as how he's got his life together, but he was such a rascal back in the day. Later on that night, I'm hanging out with like Mark Carluzzo and Donnie B, and I'm in front of the hotel. I don't know where they got a pickup truck. A pickup truck shows up in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I don't know who was driving. I don't remember which stooge it was, but Buddy's in the passenger seat with Dawn Marie on his lap. And, and again, two sides of Buddy. What he goes, hey, Brian, you got any pain pills? And I said, Buddy, I'm 16. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. No, Buddy, don't worry about it. Have fun. I don't know what's going on.
I'm not old enough to hurt yet.
I don't know what's going on in that pickup truck over there. Oh, but funny guy. And you know what? The saddest thing is we never got to see what was going to happen. He wasn't going to become the world champion, but they brought him in to wrestle Flair. I mean, you brought him in, really. I mean, it was you behind it. And he got hurt right away, and we never got to see Buddy Landell on a national stage at that point. How funny could he have been at that point?
Well, and now you say they brought him in to wrestle Flair. Which time are you talking about?
Excuse me. I said Flair. Bret Hart. Excuse me. Bret Hart is what I was thinking of.
Well, but
that was what, 95?
That was December of 95, because here was the thing. Before we knew, or before I was sure that we were closing Smoky Mountain, I had already arranged one way or another that we got somebody in the Royal Rumble. Because remember, in those days, they didn't have a roster where it could just be, 30 of their regular guys. A Harvey Whippleman would have been in the thing at one point. And they would always have maybe a legend and a surprise from blah, blah, blah. And so since we were working together, I got to have somebody that was going to be in the Rumble, and to expose them on television, leading up to it, so people would halfway know who the fuck they were. And we did a deal in Smoky Mountain. I think that may have been one of the last things we did. No, we didn't get that far because Rumble was in January. But we were going to do something where the winner, blah, 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 between him and Brad and whatever. Point I'm making with this rambling story is he goes up to do the TV in December. And I think this was the same infamous WWF TV taping with Boo Bradley as Santa Claus.
Oh,
it might
that's
have been.
Right. Yeah, that was around the same time. I think you may be right.
Yes. And it's fucking wherever we were, they flew in and out of Philly. So Buddy is going to the Philadelphia airport to the hotel there. I won't call the brand name. I don't remember which one it was. Not germane to the point of the story. It had snowed. It was icy. He goddamn, some way or another. Now, he said it was snowy and icy, which it was outside, whether it was right underneath him or not. But he slips and falls. And when he does, the power hotel door somehow opened out instead of in or whatever. And in a freak deal, he got his leg caught between falling and the door opening on it, and it fucked his knee up. And he did have to have some kind of surgery. And I mean, this certainly wasn't a deal. He was trying to get out of work. He missed a Royal Rumble because of this fucking thing. And he tried to sue somehow, and I don't know where that went. That was 30 years ago, and it was Buddy, not necessarily the most reliable witness. But that's what fucked him up, and he never got another chance at that. Because I remember he called me with Jeff. I said, "You what?" The door opened out, and I slid under. I said, "Oh God damn it!" You know.
He came back to
anyway.
He was back in WCW briefly in 1990, but I think it may have been right after you left the booking committee. Did he ever come up from like 89 until 90 when you were on the team with Flair and Sullivan? Did you ever bring up Buddy, or did anyone ever bring up Buddy? What did Flair think of Buddy at that
point? I think everybody was scared to bring up Buddy. Not scared to, but at that time, remember, Flair was the booker when I was on the creative team, and Flair was the fucking champion that was supposed to be shooting an angle with goddamn Buddy the last time he had fucking no-showed him on a more important spot that they were willing to give him at that point. So am I going to say, hey, Buddy, the fuck? He had taken a hammer to my head. That's the thing is that, Buddy always got the chance in Memphis because they were forgiving of everyone, because talk about a fucking politician at various points, either Jarrett or Lawler. Jarrett or Lawler, especially Jarrett, would qualify there as a politician, but they could make up with anybody, and also out of necessity. But in a lot of other cases, it had to be somebody in a position of importance that you hadn't previously done the same thing that you're probably about to do again to, for them to. So I don't think Buddy didn't come up in that short period of time. And then it was JR when Flair had quit as head booker and it became more of a committee. I think that's JR kind of, well, let's give him another chance. And I mean, I can't remember he was any, more responsible in his personal time, trying to figure out a way to say that at that point that he was at some points, but he, I think, made all of his shots for quite a while.
Do you think it would have been different if he had had all the same substance abuse issues at different points, but he had stayed in really good shape? Like in 84, he got in amazing shape. And he never was really in that shape again. If he had been, would he have had other opportunities, like with WWF or something, even with his problems?
No, I don't think he would have had more opportunities if he looked physically in any of the other years like he did in 1984, because again, the stories about the spectacularness of Buddy's behavior sometimes precluded. They knew he could work his ass off, and all you need to do was let him talk. And if he had his shit together, he was going to be dressed and look good and do the Nature Boy thing. Or you were going to get the fucking, Bruiser Bedlam fucking Jim, not t-shirt, but fucking tank top, whatever, Buddy, with the flip-flops and the, hey, if it don't snow, we can't go. And that, then he needs to be in a little territory where he's driving everywhere, because he doesn't need to be in hotels and planes on a regular basis, that type of thing. So his immense talent, the reputation, it didn't matter about his physique. That was, they knew he could look good if he wanted to.
All right. Well, rest in peace, Roberta Flack and Jerry Butler.
And Buddy.
And Buddy, of course.